Kemi scrapes her beautiful melanin off her skin every night in order to get a light skin. You must be wondering why. Well, it started this way. Kemi was born into a household where love was conditional and what was measured by appearance. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Adeyemi, were well respected in their Lagos community, but behind closed doors, their favoritism was glaring. Kemi's dark skin was the source of their disdain, while her younger sister, Funke's lighter complexion, earned her unearned adoration. As early as age 5, Kemi noticed the stark difference in how she and her sister were treated. When visitors came to their home, they would scoop Funke into their arms, peppering her with kisses and calling her our golden princess. Meanwhile, Kemi sat quietly in the corner, clutching a doll, invisible to them. When they did notice her, it was often with sneering remarks such as, how come this one is so dark? Funke took all the beauty in the family, eh? Her parents never defended her. Instead, her mother would shake her head, muttering, I don't know who you took after with this black skin. Every day in the Adeyemi household was a reminder of Kemi's supposed inadequacy. Funke received the best of everything, the prettiest dresses, lavish birthday parties, and constant words of affirmation. On the rare occasion that Kemi's birthday was remembered, it was marked with indifference, a small cake, and a dismissive don't expect too much. Kemi's father was no better. He often called her Blackie as though it were a name, laughing as if it were a harmless joke. At family gatherings, he would proudly show off Funke to relatives, leaving Kemi to fade into the background. School, which should have been a refuge, was a continuation of Kemi's torments. Her classmates were relentless, calling her names like Monkey, Charcoal, and Black Baboon. During roll call, they would snicker when her name was mentioned, and in group activities, she was always the last to be chosen. Her teachers, while not openly cruel, often overlooked her. On the rare occasion she performed well academically, her efforts were downplayed. Instead, the focus was always on her sister, who attended the same school and was adored for her angelic beauty. During lunch breaks, Kemi would eat alone under the shade of a tree, far from the teasing and mockery. But her solitude only fueled the rumors. Even in church, where she hoped for acceptance, Kemi faced judgment. During Sunday services, other children were invited to participate in dramas or choir performances. Kemi was often passed over, with the church elders commenting that her appearance might distract people. But during dramas that involved the devil, monsters, demons, or blackness of the arts, Kemi was always given the role. The drama coordinator would always say that she fits perfectly for such roles. The whispers from congregants stung the most. That child's darkness is too much. Kemi learned to keep her head low, folding herself into invisibility, hoping to avoid their judgmental stares. As Kemi grew older, her once scrawny frame blossomed into a lovely figure. She was tall, graceful, and poised, with a face that hinted at hidden beauty. For the first time, Kemi saw a spark of possibility in her reflection. She began dreaming of becoming a model, imagining herself on magazine covers and runways. Modeling seemed like a way to escape her harsh reality, a chance to be admired rather than mocked. But even this dream was quickly dashed. At 18, Kemi scrapped together enough money to attend an open audition at a local modeling agency. Her heart raced with anticipation as she stood in line, surrounded by hopefuls. When it was finally her turn, the panel barely glanced at her before shaking their heads. The feedback was cutting. Your skin is too dark for the Nigerian market. We are looking for someone with a more versatile look, they said. Kemi left the audition humiliated, clutching her portfolio as tears streamed down her face. The rejection was not an isolated incident. Every agency she approached turned her away, citing her skin color as the problem. By the time Kemi entered her 20s, the rejection extended to her romantic life. Men rarely showed interest in her and those who did treated her with disrespect. Her first boyfriend, Deji, seemed kind at first, but soon revealed his true colors. He often made backhanded comments like, "You are lucky I am managing you. Most guys wouldn't date someone as dark as you." His words cut deeply, but Kemi stayed, desperate for affection in any form. Years of rejection, mockery, and self-loathing finally took their toll. One evening, after another modeling agency turned her away, Kemi stared at herself in the mirror, her reflection blurred by her tears. "I will never be good enough," she whispered. "Not like this." Determined to change her fate, she resolved to bleach her skin, convinced it was the only way to gain acceptance. With every insult replaying in her mind, she began saving for the chemicals that would alter her destiny. Kemi's journey into skin bleaching began with cautious optimism. With her first paycheck from a small administrative job, she purchased a popular bleaching cream from a local vendor. The vendor, a woman who had bleached her own skin to a pale complexion, assured Kemi that the product was safe and effective. "Don't worry, my dear," the vendor said with a reassuring smile. "In a few weeks, you will be glowing like the sun. People won't even recognize you." Kemi started using the cream daily, slathering it on her skin in the morning and at night. The changes were subtle at first: a slightly lighter tone on her arms, a faint glow on her face. Encouraged, she invested in stronger products, whitening soaps, serums, and chemical peels. Within months, Kemi's skin tone shifted dramatically. She stared at her reflection in awe, hardly recognizing the woman in the mirror. Her dark skin had been replaced with a lighter, more radiant complexion. The transformation was met with immediate results. Suddenly, the same people who had once ignored her began to take notice. At work, colleagues complimented her. "Kemi, you look so beautiful these days." On the streets, strangers called her Onyibo, a term for light-skinned people, smiling warmly as she walked past. Kemi soaked up the newfound attention like a sponge. For the first time in her life, she felt visible, worthy, and loved. With her lighter skin, Kemi decided to revisit her dream of modeling. This time, the doors that had once slammed in her face swung open. At her first audition post-transformation, the agency executives couldn't stop praising her. "You are perfect for our upcoming campaign. Your skin tone photographs beautifully." Kemi booked her first gig within weeks, a national campaign for a popular clothing brand. The photo shoot was a dazzling success, with Kemi's image plastered on billboards across Lagos. More opportunities followed in rapid succession. International brands reached out to her, and soon she was flying to Paris, New York, and Milan for high-profile assignments. Kemi became the face of luxury skincare products, clothing lines, and even a renowned jewelry brand. The money poured in, and with it came a life of luxury. Kemi moved into a sprawling mansion in an upscale Lagos neighborhood, filling it with designer furniture and artwork. She bought cars, traveled the world, and adorned herself with expensive jewelry. Her success made her the toast of Lagos high society. Elite parties, red carpet events, and private yacht gatherings became a new normal. She mingled with celebrities, business tycoons, and politicians. The governor's son, Toby, was among her admirers. A charming and well-educated man, he pursued Kemi relentlessly, sending her flowers, jewelry, and invitations to exclusive events. Kemi's transformation also altered her relationship with her family. Her parents, once cold and dismissive, now treated her like royalty. Her mother would boast to visitors, "That is my daughter, the international model." Her father often called her his pride and joy, showering her with praise at family gatherings. Even Funke, who had once reveled in being the favored child, now looked up to Kemi with admiration and a hint of jealousy. Kemi began to support her family financially, sending her parents money for a new house and paying for Funke's education. The same people who had once rejected her now depended on her generosity. With her newfound beauty came a flood of suitors. Men who had previously ignored or insulted her now vied for her attention. Businessmen, entertainers, and even foreign diplomats lined up to woo her. They showered her with gifts, from luxury handbags to exotic vacations. Among her admirers, Toby, the governor's son, stood out. He was persistent, yet respectful, always finding ways to make her smile. Kemi's career reached its zenith when she won a prestigious international modeling award. Dressed in a stunning designer gown, she accepted the trophy with tears in her eyes, thanking everyone who had supported her journey. She felt invisible, as if she had finally silenced the voices that once called her ugly. Kemi's life had transformed in every way. She was no longer the dark-skinned girl mocked and ignored. She was now a celebrated model, a wealthy philanthropist, and a sought-after woman. Kemi's glamorous life began to crack when she noticed something strange. Her legs and arms started to swell. At first, she dismissed it as nothing serious, attributing the discomfort to exhaustion from her jet-setting lifestyle. She had been working non-stop, hopping from one modeling gig to another, attending exclusive parties, and maintaining a demanding schedule. When the swelling persisted for days, Kemi assumed it was malaria. She bought medication from a pharmacy and continued pushing a busy routine. However, the symptoms worsened. The swelling became more pronounced, and she began experiencing fatigue, headaches, and a persistent nausea that refused to go away. It was during a photo shoot in Cape Town that she collapsed. Alarmed, the crew rushed her to the hospital. Kemi, still determined to downplay her condition, assured everyone it was just exhaustion. But after a series of tests, the doctor delivered devastating news. She had kidney failure. The words felt like a hammer to her chest. Kidney failure? How could that be possible? The doctor explained that her prolonged use of harmful bleaching agents had caused severe damage to her kidneys. You need a transplant as soon as possible. The doctor said gravely, dialysis can only stabilize you for so long. The news of her condition spread quickly within her circle, but instead of rallying around her, the people in Kemi's life began to disappear. Her so-called friends, who had once flooded her home with laughter and companionship, stopped answering her calls. Her suitors, who had once vied for her attention, ghosted her entirely. Even her family, the very people she had lifted out of poverty, abandoned her. Her parents, who had come to depend on her financial support, refused to help her. When Kemi suggested that Funke might be tested as a potential kidney donor, her mother exploded with anger. Never! Her mother screamed, I won't risk losing both of my children. You brought this upon yourself. From that day, her family stopped visiting her at the hospital, alone and betrayed. Kemi was left to navigate her illness without the support of the people she had loved and sacrificed for. The dialysis treatments were costly, and with no steady income, Kemi's once flush bank account quickly dwindled. Her glamorous lifestyle crumbled before her eyes. She had to sell a mansion, her luxury cars, and her designer possessions to pay for her treatments. Each session of dialysis left her physically drained and emotionally shattered. The vibrant, confident woman she once was had become a shadow of herself. One evening, while scrolling through her contacts with trembling fingers, Kemi hesitated before dialing Toby, the governor's son. He was one of the few people who hadn't outright abandoned her, but she felt ashamed to admit her dire situation. When he answered, his voice was warm and concerned. Kemi, I haven't seen you in weeks. Are you okay? At first, she tried to deflect his questions, but his persistence broke through her walls. Through tears, she confessed everything: her diagnosis, her financial struggles, and her feelings of utter hopelessness. Toby arrived at the hospital hours later, bearing fruit baskets and a comforting presence. Kemi, overwhelmed by shame, couldn't meet his eyes. I just wanted to be beautiful, she sobbed. I wanted people to accept me. I never thought it would end like this. Toby took her hand, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Kemi, your beauty was never in question. Whether you were dark or fair, you were always extraordinary. The people who made you feel otherwise were wrong. His words, so genuine and heartfelt, brought a sense of peace Kemi hadn't felt in years. For the first time, someone saw her as more than a skin color or beauty. Without telling Kemi, Toby spoke to a doctor and got tested as a potential kidney donor. Miraculously, he was a match. He immediately agreed to donate his kidney, but insisted on remaining anonymous, fearing that Kemi might refuse his help out of pride or guilt. The next day, the doctor informed Kemi that an anonymous donor had been found. Her relief was palpable. She called Toby to share the good news, but his number was unreachable. Kemi couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was amiss, but she pushed it aside, focusing on the surgery ahead. The operation was successful. As Kemi recovered, the doctor informed her that the anonymous donor wanted to meet her. Though weak, Kemi insisted on being wheeled into the donor's room. When she entered, her breath caught in her throat. There, lying on the hospital bed, was Toby, smiling despite his pale complexion. You? She whispered, tears streaming down her face. Why would you do this for me? Toby reached for her hand, his voice soft but firm. Because I care about you, Kemi. I have always cared. Overcome with emotion, Kemi sobbed uncontrollably. For the first time, she felt truly loved, not for her appearance, but for who she was. Recovery from the surgery was slow but steady. As Kemi regained her strength, she began to reflect deeply on her life and the choices she had made. The scars on her body were not just physical, they were reminders of years of self-doubt, pain, and the desperate measures she had taken to be accepted. Kemi decided to use her platform to advocate for self-love and acceptance. She started a campaign called In Her Skin, sharing her story with young girls across Nigeria who felt pressured to conform to unrealistic beauty standards. She held workshops in schools and community centers, teaching girls about the dangers of skin bleaching and the importance of embracing their natural beauty. Her vulnerability and honesty resonated with many, turning her pain into a source of inspiration. Kemi also partnered with healthcare organizations to raise awareness about the harmful effects of bleaching products, becoming a voice for change in the beauty industry. Years later, on a sunny day, Kemi sat on a beach with her husband, Toby, and their twin daughters. The girls, a perfect blend of their parents, ran along the shore, their laughter filling the air. "Mommy, Daddy can't run," one of the girls yelled, making everyone laugh. Kemi watched her daughters, their dark skin shimmering under the sun, and felt a profound sense of peace. They would grow up in a world where their beauty was celebrated, not diminished. As Toby joined her on the beach blankets, he handed her a bottle of water and kissed her forehead. "You are glowing," he said with a smile. Kemi smiled back, her heart full. "For the first time in my life," she replied, "I feel truly beautiful." Thank you so much for listening, guys. I hope you can share what you've learned in this story in the comment section. If you enjoyed this story, I'm sure you'd enjoy this one about a girl who turned into a mermaid at school. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.